star player leaves their club, there is hatred and bitterness amongst the fans. However, there is an exception here, a rarity. Today we speak to Atlanta United Fan TV, our man Lee, and journalist Roberto Rojas over a Skype video call. We begin by asking the question, why are Atlanta fans so encouraging towards Newcastle United fans and Miguel Almiron?
You know, I know that that's kind of rare in the world, but Miguel Almiron, Atlanta United is a completely different situation for most teams. You know, we're very young. We've only been in professional competition for 2 seasons. You guys have a very storied history, so you've seen players come and go, but Miguel Almiron is what we call an original 17, a core 17. He came to us from Lanús. You know, he had interest from other clubs, but he chose to come here. He chose to come to play with Tata Martino, and as you guys see every time he steps on the pitch, you know, he just gives you maximum effort, and that smile is infectious, and he just loves the game so much that it makes you love the game right alongside him. And
I think it could be 2 things. I think because they're quite new, they've only had a football team, a soccer team as they'll call it over there, for about 2 years, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe 3 years. But this is a star that's played in the Argentinian league. He's now a full international, he's blitzed that league, and I think because they found this new icon, and I think it's also refreshing as well. I think it's really refreshing. It's a story worth telling, that because nowadays it's very rare that you see 2 amongst the sets of fans actually praise each other. You get the odd one here or there, but there's been absolutely several. I can't just say there's 1 or 2. I'm talking 30, 40, 50, 60 people have wished us personally well, and of course Miguel Almiron, the club, and I'm sure that goes into hundreds and thousands. Honestly, it needs to happen more often. It's a breath of fresh air. We could learn something from them.
I think it's because it's Miguel Almirón. I think it'd be if it was any other player, because you have to also realize something. Being a good player also needs to, in a way, perhaps it doesn't count if you're not a good person. And I think with Almirón having the best of both worlds, that just shows that bond. I think because he struck a deep heart and a deep feeling to Atlanta fans, you know, they all want him to do well. That goes without saying. They all want him to do well.
Lads talked about Atlanta fans there. Is it something fans can learn a lot from in this country?
100% we can learn from that, because as I say earlier on, there's a little bit of hostility in between some sets of fans, and when you normally see a player leave, there's a lot of hatred towards that player, there's a lot of anger, and it goes from the player to the coach to the boardroom, because Newcastle is very much like a goldfish bowl. We're inside that, and when a player leaves, for example, I take Johan Cabaye, it's just off the top of my head, he wanted to leave, and when he left on different circumstances. To Miguel Almiron, of course, it's different, but it's very, very rare, extremely rare, that a player who leaves Newcastle, we wish him well going forward. And again, that goes to show you, with something that we can learn from the Atlanta fans, is that if someone does well, go on and cheer them. But I also think it's how they leave as well. I don't just think if they leave and all will hate, because say if it was Alan Shearer who had done 10 years and went on to join Barcelona or Real Madrid, I could understand that. They're going to a bigger club, they've done their deed, so to speak, they've done the time. So, you know, there is 1 or 2 players who come back to St James's Park and does get a clap here and there. So it does happen. It's rare, but it does happen.
It's very different in America now. The MLS is growing, but we know it's not the Premier League. We know it's not La Liga. So when we see one of our prodigal sons go to a team and lift them up like we know that we can, we're going to cheer for you. And I'm beyond happy for Miguel to get his move, and I'm beyond happy to see the Toon Army actually celebrate and be happy. That war banner was amazing, so keep it up.
Where I think at Newcastle, it's kind of more of a neutral feeling, because, you know, it's a passionate fan base. I think you could make some comparisons there. You know, obviously a manager that is respected around the world like Rafa Benitez. So I think it really is just that bond that Atlanta fans have with Almirón for him to do well wherever he goes.
We've now seen Atlanta fans wearing Newcastle United t-shirts. Some have even come over to watch Premier League games. Have the Toon Army picked up a lot of fans, and is it simply down to Miguel Almiron?
For a lot of American fans who don't have a team or a rooting interest in the Premier League, it gives them a reason to wake up early and a reason to follow. So you guys have a lot of fans in Atlanta now. I can't personally say that I'm one of them. I do support another club, but I wish you guys all the best in 36 out of 38 matches. One of those that I will not be supporting you on will be April 1st, but it's all good. So I love seeing what Miggy has done for you. Because I know what he can do, and we all in Atlanta, he brought us our first championship in major sports since 1995.
Well, I also think that Newcastle have got a following anyways in the US of A. There's little New York Toon Army, there's Portland, there's all sorts of goes on across the whole of the US, and I think the Premier League does help that. I think being on TV over in I think it's NBC or NBS is one of the two networks over there that are owned by Comcast. They're on every week, so it's easier to see Premier League games now. But the answer to your question is, yeah, I do think that Newcastle picked up a lot more following, in particular Atlanta, Georgia, that they've picked up Miguel Almiron. They're going to adopt Newcastle as a second team, and that's good for the club because that means more revenue, more support for the Toon Army.
You're striking a bond between Atlanta fans and Newcastle fans, which I think is beautiful in today's world of football, because there's just so much hate between fans. I think when you're looking at two teams, obviously from different continents, different styles, different ways of life, essentially, all supporting a 25-year-old Paraguayan to do well for their club. I think it's fantastic, and it just shows that it proves that bond that makes me very happy to see everyone rallying together for him to do well.
We cheekily asked Lee if he would adopt the Five Stripes as his team.
You're joking me. No, seriously, I'm obviously Newcastle through and through, but there's a reason why I've been wearing this hat for the last couple of weeks, USA, just to show a little bit of support back, a little respect back to the Americans as well. I think I've watched the game. I watched them when they got beaten, unfortunately, by DC United 2-0, because we get coverage in the UK on Sky Sports of the MLS. So I'll be keeping an eye out for them. Will I go on cheering them? Who knows? We'll wait to see, but Newcastle first, of course, but I hope they do well. It's going to be a tough ask for them to try and win the title again, though.
Keep supporting Miggy, and for everybody out there, watch the MLS. It's a great league. Wayne Rooney said recently that the flow of play and the ability of the players in the league is a lot higher than what he expected. So if you get a chance, come watch some Atlanta United games. We'd love to have you at the Benz, and I would love to come over and sit in the Gallowgate side.
There's clearly a bond being struck here between both sets of fans. Did you know Atlanta is actually twinned with Newcastle? It's so refreshing to see, as Roberto touched on, especially in this modern age day of football. The ideal scenario would be a friendly between two clubs, even in affiliation. Thank you to Atlanta United Fan TV, Arman Lee and Roberto Rojas. But more importantly, thank you to all those wonderful Atlanta fans. You are a breath of fresh air.